Happy New Breath. I am Zayaj Bajipura of Shone Yale. Today I have the privilege of interviewing 3 young people from the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. I still find it ironic that I'm creating an educational video on the LGBT community. This is partly because I was born and raised in San Francisco. For those who don't know, San Francisco is a haven for queer people as well as a sanctuary city for those who are immigrants and refugees. I want those who identify as being LGBT or are questioning themselves to know they are completely normal, that there's nothing wrong with them, and that they do belong. I hope that by hearing other people's stories today, they will find strength and courage to be themselves and live an authentic life. Thank you, Kanon, for joining Shone Hill today, and I wanted to just get to know you a little bit and maybe have the audience learn about who you are and just some of your background and your interests.
Sure.
Welcome, Eli. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. And if you don't know Eli, you definitely need to. She just did my makeup today, actually. It's on point. Good afternoon. I'm Zayaj, and I'm here with Q. We're in West Palm Beach, and we wanted to learn more about your story. So I have one of your poems, and it's a very beautiful drawing as well. And you wrote, "I live, I love, I struggle to live the life I'm dying for." Do you want to maybe explain what that means for you? Where did you go to school, or where do you go to school currently?
Okay. So I went to high school. I went to G-Star, one of the art schools around here, but I was only there for 2 years. And then I graduated from a computer-based program right after. And the reason I did that is because at the time I was having like substance abuse problems. And I wouldn't say that it had to do with being gay, but who's really to say? And
Were people around you open to you?
well, yeah, my school was really open about, they weren't open about being gay, but I was open about it because they were okay with it pretty much. You know, we had like a gay club and a gay straight alliance club, which signifies, you know, acceptance in school. And, you know, we had openly gay teachers, and there was a lot of openly gay students, so it felt really comforting. But my early education was like not that nice. Like there was a lot of bullying and stuff.
What do you mean by here? You were born in Miami, or?
Yeah, no, I was born in Miami Beach. I've literally been here my entire life. I'm actually pretty content here. I know most people kind of itch to move somewhere else, but I'm kind of happy where I am.
I was at a really low point when I wrote that, but it turned out to be my high in disguise. For me, it's very blunt. You know, we're living and we do all these things to, you know, making us believe we're coming in alignment with the true reality of what it is.
So is there a big LGBT community too in Miami?
Yes, definitely there is a very big LGBT community in Miami, especially in downtown. I would definitely say it's growing by, like, even from what I've saw from last year till now, like, there's a huge queer scene, definitely a lot of, like, gender bending kind of parties, and that are a lot of fun to go to because they're really freeing, and you can kind of wear whatever you like, and you already know that there's going to be someone else wearing something more outrageous. Like, I'm pretty sure the last party I went to, I wore nothing but, like, these little, like, high-waisted underwear and pasties, and that was all I wanted to wear, and it was completely fun. Because yeah, there's so few opportunities where I get to be shirtless, so.
Were you ever a victim of bullying?
Yeah, I was like in preschool, I was a victim of bullying, and then up until like elementary and middle school that continued, sure. But it was never really that bad. It was just always something that was kind of there. It didn't really affect me too much, but I saw it take its toll on other people for sure. I'm now going to Palm Beach State College, and I just think it's like really open too.
Has there been any time where you have tried to fit in that box, category, or label just so that you would be accepted?
Yeah, I have over the course of my life. I can remember vividly just trying not to dress this way or the way they say is a guy's preference, and wear female clothes, and then I'm happy, and then I find that it doesn't fit for me, so now I feel like I'm really trying to be someone I'm not. And it's it was all to adjust to them, to the atmosphere, adjust to what the labels are, and it doesn't work. It's just like trying to wear a shoe that's just not gonna ever fit.
I'm studying right now art history. I just switched my major to that, so that was like a really big decision for me to like stick with this. I just got accepted into an art school, and I'd like to
Congratulations.
thank you.
Where? You didn't even tell me.
In Qatar.
You're moving to Qatar?
That's my goal.
So as the Jewish community, the one that you're around, are they very accepting of your lifestyle?
I mean, since I was younger, I've always been kind of like stared at. It was going to synagogue was a little bit hard for me if it wasn't the one that my family typically went to on a weekly basis, because they already knew us and that kind of stuff. It was very like nerve-wracking even going, because I knew that people would stare at me because they're like, what is this person of color doing here?
So it wasn't even that you were part of the queer community,
Yeah.
it was just because of your skin color.
Yeah, it was just because of my skin color that I'd always been like seen as different, and it was literally like every single time, like I'd always, since I was younger, had kids ask me like, why is my skin so dark, or
So you get a tan, right?
yeah,
You're in
exactly.
Miami.
Exactly, I'm in Miami.
Which school did you go to, or do you currently go to?
I went to Dreyfus High School of Arts. I went there for 4 years for visual arts. Very great school, great people.
Isn't that a very competitive school to get
It
into?
is. It really is. It's pressure because you have your parents and they really want this for you, and it's pressure because you have colleagues around you within the classroom with other students around, and everyone's working on some type of drawing or working on some type of installation to prove that I'm worthy, and I'm, like, you guys can invest in me to produce. That was complicated, but once you just let go and you just let your gift take over you and you just do it, then nothing else can fill.
Sounds like an Ivy League for the arts. Okay.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what Qatar is in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else in the
My
Middle
best
East?
friend moves out there, and he's really helping me get into this career path of art history, art appreciation, curating, and whatever else that takes people.
Are you an artist by chance?
I consider myself an artist only because I practice art, but I think that anyone's an artist as long as they are doing something that's artistic, really.
But it was just like a lot, and then coming to terms with being queer was also very like nerve-wracking, because like I was already so different, and then I had to add on being queer to it, and that was just, it was a lot. But the thing was, I think it kind of helped just because I was used to never really blending in, that it was like being already different didn't seem that scary, because it wasn't like I was letting go to being seen as normal, because I had never been seen that way. So it was kind of like the next step towards being even more like me. Like, yeah, sure, it's obviously nerve-wracking because I still was being even more different than I was, but I was never seen like anyone else. So it was kind of like easy to be that person, you know?
Do you believe that your substance abuse had anything to do with your identity or sexual orientation?
My sexual orientation has always been trying to fit these labels.
Do you have any art?
Yeah, I do. I brought some drawings. So a few things that I've been working on are like profiles of faces, but the thing about it is like these faces don't really like match anyone in particular. They're kind of like very like ambiguous. Like they could be anyone. It's like several people in one.
And where do you get your inspiration or vision for your
I
drawing?
usually start with like a picture, and then it kind of just goes its own path. So I start with something that I actually see, and then I just see whatever I want to see.
Me coming out wasn't that much of a surprise, because it really was not that much of a surprise.
If anything, were they at least like
I had my
comforted or relieved? I don't know, being like, okay, so
Yeah, so my dad actually really gets a kick out of the fact that I'm queer. I think it makes him feel very like an interesting parent. Like, yeah, I have
something
like
to talk
a
about.
transgender child who's like queer. You know what I mean?
Is there any artwork you would like to share with us?
Yeah, after this poem, there's a few things in here.
How long have you been doing art for?
Not very long. I've been doing like other things, but I've never really like sat down and drawn anything up until a couple of years ago.
Who's this young lad?
That would be me. I did a self-portrait, and I actually really like the way that came out.
Beautiful.
It seems like sometimes I can draw, and sometimes I feel like I can't.
But with my mom, like, she kind of had like this very like sad look on her face when I told her. I was like, "Oh, are you upset?" She's like, "No, I thought you were gonna tell me you were pregnant." I was like, "Well, we're good," you know. But yeah. So my family took it really well. I actually just came out to my brother about being on male hormones because I recently started that about a month ago, and we had never actually had an active conversation about me being queer, like actually talking about it out loud and stuff. But I was just like, okay, you know, like I'm 19. I don't want this to be the kind of play that I always have with one of my siblings that I'm not open. Like one sibling, when I told them that I was queer, they were like, "I don't know why you waited so long to tell me." Like it was just like a very obvious thing that everyone knew, even though at the time I had very long hair. It was just like how it always been. And this other person, I'm sure, my other brother, I'm sure, it was obvious too. It was just more uncomfortable.
With anything. Yeah.
So is your family accepting of your decision, or not? It's not even a decision, right? It's who you are. Are they accepting of your choice to be with men or to?
Yeah, I would say my family's really accepting of it, and they always have been.
This first one is actually a drawing of Kanon's partner. I'll just show you guys that one. That was pretty much frequency, energy, vibrations. As you can see, it's just sprouting out from every direction, and that's pretty much our link to the universe in general. And I like to express that a lot because a lot of people fail to realize that we are strongly and only connected and not divided.
Traditional, is that why you waited?
Yeah, he's very traditional. I was worried because since I'm not religious anymore, although I identify as spiritual but not religious because that's how I feel. I'm a spiritual person. I'm just not connected to any one thing. I definitely am very connected though to my Jewish identity, but he's very traditional. Like he lives in Israel for a bit. Like he wants to be a rabbi. He wants to learn. He wants to get married very young and all that stuff. So I was worried that we already had so much difference in our relationship that me opening up about another thing that wasn't like according to plan would set even more of a divide, and I didn't want to lose a relationship. But then I realized that after a certain point that I had this one sibling who I used to be very close to, who knows very, very little about my actual life and about what I was doing and the people that I loved and what I was doing, like even something as my job, because I work at the Human Rights Campaign, which is, you know, a very, you know, LGBT friendly place, and I just felt like he knew very little, and I didn't want us having that gaps. And now that I'm 19, I realize I can't just rely on my parents to fill him in on certain things, that after a certain point, like I'm the one that needs, if I want him to know something, it's gonna have to be for me.
What is your vision for a better world?
So like in a perfect world, I wish I didn't have to like explain to anyone what I'm about. I wish it was just, you know, commonplace for everyone to do their own thing and be gay, pretty much. Like you can be straight and be gay by being yourself. You can be gay and be gay. Like I just think you should do you at all costs. And that's what a perfect world would look like to me, honestly.
How did he receive your information?
Yeah, I think, so he knew that I was queer beforehand without me telling, because now I was just coming out to him about being transgender. So the first time around, he had actually overheard me and my brother talking about the fact that, like, how does he not know that I'm queer? But he had overheard this conversation. So I didn't want a repeat performance, and he was in Prague for a bit because he was with a religious group. He was like leading these youths throughout the town and stuff. And then I realized now that I had to tell him, because since I'm on hormones, like 6 months from now, if I see him again, like I'm gonna look and sound like a completely different person, and I don't want it again being that drift. Like that's just forcing us to have like this miscommunication, and I didn't want
You
to
might feel left out too, like
yeah.
you told everybody
I mean, he's
else.
also a middle child, and I didn't want him feeling even more like a middle child, because that's usually how that dynamic works. Because it's like I have an older brother, it's him, and then it's me, I'm the youngest, you know? But yeah, so no, it's definitely just second time around being more inclusive.
And he was open to what you were saying.
Yeah, he was open to what he was saying. We didn't really talk about it. I didn't really expect us to talk about it. Like, you know, he was like, "Thank you for keeping me in the loop." And I was like,
Aww.
"You're welcome." You know what I mean? And I told one of my friends about this. They're like, "Aren't you surprised you didn't say anything else, that it didn't go better?" I was like, "I thought that went great." You know what I mean?
that was one of those things where now I'm being put in a category. Like, can I just play basketball and love my life? You know, it was just always that finger being pointed. You're gay, she's gonna be like that. Cute, you're gonna be gay. And that was frustrating, especially middle school. One particular person constantly, every day, and I kind of rejected this person in a sense because I would hang around her, but I rejected her because I actually did like her, but I didn't understand this gay thing she was talking about. You know?
You didn't know about that whole concept. You didn't know about the concept.
No, not really. But, and that just shows like what it did for me. It made me pull away from her as an individual, even though she was my friend. You know, and she probably didn't mean any harm, but in a sense, it did some type of damage in my brain.
What are some either words of advice or encouragement you can give to someone who's young watching this, maybe too afraid to come out, or also is uncertain about who they are and are not in such an inclusive community?
I would just say listen to that inner voice in you that's like what's right and wrong. Like, you're gonna know if you're lying to yourself, and you're gonna know if it doesn't feel right. So just try not to listen to what you hear on the television. Don't listen to what you hear on the news. Just listen to your true self about how you feel, and it'll take you where you need to go. If you're gay, you'll realize it. If you're not, hopefully we can all like get together at the end of the day and hang out.
What are your future plans? Do you intend to have a partner and have children? What do you want for yourself? I know you gotta grow up now, right? You're hitting the 20s,
Man.
almost close to 30s.
25 years old now. I'll be 26 July 3rd.
Round up, that's 30, and then you round up as 50, so.
Don't push me that far. I'm not ready yet.
You have the 25-year plan?
Oh, that's a tough one. Not too tough. Okay, all my life I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. I used to say I want 4 kids. I want 2 girls and 2 boys, you know, make it even and stuff. So all my life I've wanted that.
Well, I had my first queer relationship when I was about 17, and I was still technically in school. And then, yeah, after the 11th grade, I just kind of could not do it anymore. I wanted to be my own person, and I just became abundantly clear that I could not be myself in that school. And
You believe you're living a double life.
No, I was not living a double life because it was always very clear that I was different. There was never, like, any point where I seemed like anyone else, which was fine. I mean, like, yeah, I went through a lot of bullying, but at the same time, I was, like, well-liked, you know what I mean? Because I'm not very threatening. Like, I'm 4'11", and I'm pretty, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty happy all the time, genuinely. Like, so...
Upbeat and positive.
Yeah, upbeat, positive, even if that's not actually how I'm always feeling. It's usually what's on my face. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, no one really gave me, like, I don't even know how to, like, explain the fact that I was bullied and also not bullied at the same time. I think that people just felt comfortable because it was just very, very odd.
People pressured to stay in the closet their whole adult life sometimes. They'll get married and they'll fake a whole relationship just to present as straight. And that seems like you're doing everything in your power to do what? To be miserable, I guess, at best.
All my life I've wanted a partner to mate with and just have this house, this foundation together. I've wanted that all my life. But here comes the crack in the bridge. Things, people on the outside of me made me diffuse that hope, made me not want it, because I see how cruel the world is, how cruel children can be, how cruel adults can be to other children, to other adults. And then I see the violence, the hardship, the suffering, the oppression, the bullying, the suicides, all the negative conflict on the outside of myself made me suppress my beautiful family dream.
Thank you so much for being here and
Thank you.
letting Sean enter your world and your higher vision for society. Thank you, Kanon, for being here today and allowing Show and Heal to get a glimpse of your life. And thank you so much for being honest and present.
And thank you for your interest in having me. I appreciate it. Love you, Zai.
Love you too. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
Thank you so much, Eli, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. And best of luck in your future pursuits and creating awareness and equality through
Awesome.
the HRC.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Show and Heal is in West Palm Beach, and we have the privilege to interview 3 young people from the LGBT community. I was at a training, and someone had asked, what is LGBT? Is it a BLT with guacamole? Trans believe you were born. You know how when you usually think of someone who's transgender, they know they were born in the incorrect sex.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to get clarification.
I think the confusion with transgender identities is that everyone is Caitlyn Jenner. Everyone is someone that was born a man that's now becoming a woman. That's not what transgender is. Transgender is not agreeing with the born sex that you were, and the thing is that for instance, it's again the big difference is between gender and sex being 2 different things. Like sex is you have pretty much 3 options. You're male, female, or intersex. Intersex, just in case anyone doesn't know, intersex is when you have both characteristics in terms of either having both hormone sex or both genitalia. The incorrect term for that is actually hermaphrodite, but that's, again, not politically correct anymore. And then gender is basically a spectrum between 1 through 10 of exactly how you are, 1 being a stereotypical Barbie, 10 being a G.I. Joe, and then everyone kind of falls in between. So for me saying that I'm transgender and saying that I'm not just Barbie and I'm not...
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, exactly. But, because actually, since I am on hormone replacement therapy, anatomically, I am intersex because I have, yet my face is still in the process of looking different, but again, like, actually, medically, I have both male and female hormones going on in my body right now, which means that my secondary sex characteristics, which are, like, not, I don't know if this is too in detail, I feel like.
It's informative.
Based off of physicality, right? Like
Yeah,
having to go
exactly,
from one to the
but-
other, because you almost described like gender fluidity. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
couldn't
so
say
that-
it. Like
that's-
the whole spectrum.
so
thing,
yes,
that's what it
that
sounds
is-
like.
I'm
just
non-binary
like, I'm trans
gender.
now, then.
Yeah.
But I'm not trans because I wasn't.
So
born
to
a
be
different sex
trans,
that I'm
you
not
have
Gender
comfortable
fluid
in.
is transgender too.
Okay, so
Gender non-conforming is transgender. Non-binary is transgender.
All trans are gender fluid, but not all gender fluid are trans, right? What are you saying?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because not everyone
Because-
that's gender fluid identifies as transgender because
It's so
it's
confusing.
So to be transgender, when you see yourself as transgender, you don't have to necessarily change physically the
because
hormones or
that
change
would
your
be-
body parts. And I think that's the image that most people see.
exactly.
It can be it's your perception of yourself and where you feel you belong in that gender spectrum.
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. Glad we got that straightened out.
Did we get it straight?
Yeah.
Probably straight.
Pun intended.
Okay, so do others have a little bit of confusion when you try to describe yourself at all, or do you
I
just
don't-
not pay heed to it?
I mean, I don't spend that much time talking about it. I don't think if I'm talking in space for someone asking about my gender, then sure, I mean, I'll go ahead in it. But how many times have you really spent talking about your own gender? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we can bring up the things as much as we want to bring them up. The fact that I am transgender is a fact about me, but I really don't spend that much time talking about it. This is just a fact with me, and it comes up in conversation because people find it interesting. Like, I happen to my own choice be on male hormones as well as female hormones, and that's just a separate thing about me, but people find that intriguing, so then I bring it up. But the fact that I'm transgender really does not play that many key roles in the things that I do, how I socialize, how I go to work. Like, it really doesn't affect it. I think that the reason why it's so talked about is because people are just confused by it, so then that leads to me having to elaborate. But I don't really have to do this that often.
And is it-
Like, why are you so worried about my sex? Like, do you not
Yeah,
have sex
I
with anybody?
mean,
Like, you need
it's
to worry
so-
about your own sex.
Yeah, it was crazy at the airport the other
What-
day. I was just like standing, and then this guy was just like kind of wait for like everyone to leave, and then he was like, "Are you a male or female?" And I'm like,
The person that worked there?
"No, it was like just this older man. Like he was like probably in his 60s
You
or
should have been
whatever."
like both.
No, that's exactly what I said. I was like, oh, I'm kind of both, and he was like, huh, and then I was just like, I didn't really feel like explaining. I was just like kind of doing my thing, and then he was just like, oh, well, what sex organ do you have in your pants?
Wow.
And then, so I straight up asked him back. I was like, are you circumcised? And he just got like very like taken back. And I was like, you see the way that maybe your question was phrased in a way where you're not directly asking me like the actual phrase, do you have a pretty much, but that is what he was asking me. I was like, the same way that the question I asked you was rude, crass, and inappropriate, the same thing is what you just asked me. Like, I had people ask me, like, on days where I look more masculine, like, would I have my pants, and it's the oddest thing in the world. Like, I've asked to whip it out, like, at a 7-Eleven.
Bro, they're
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
some shit.
No, it's very odd, because some people, like, if they... It's funny, people tend to see me as the gender that they want to be attracted to. You know what I mean? Like, if someone was... Yeah, you know what I mean? If someone's typically attracted to women and they're a lesbian, I found that lesbians that are attracted to me, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, I don't identify as that way. They still see me in their head as that because that's who they're attracted to, while at the same time, I've been intimate with gay men who see me just as kind of like, like that, and it really does depend on how other people want to see me based on who they're attracted to, because in their head, they're kind of like, how do I feel about this person? Do I want to be intimate with this person? And then they end up going to the gender that they're attracted
that makes
to.
sense, though, because a lot of people who call out gays anyway, like, you gotta wonder if they're gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see what you want, you see what you are.
Exactly.
On your driver's license, what gender or sex do you have to put? Can you go without putting a sex?
So New York just released that they're allowed to do intersex, which is the legal thing for what I am, because again, I have both male and female hormones, but the thing is, I'm not. They don't have that in the state of Florida, and I'm not far enough on my transition in order to do that, because like I plan on getting top surgery. And
you have to be at a certain point to get your license changed?
You do.
Really?
There's a lot
like
of
a physical
crap.
point, or like you have to go to the therapist? And
You have to go to a therapist. You have to have met certain.
Because my friend just changed her license gender, but she also got surgery.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she did all.
So this is a common question for all of you guys. Do you have friends who are not gay or lesbian or bisexual or part of that?
Yeah, you.
I mean, I've gotten asked at the airport. Bathrooms are always really annoying for me, because if depending on what direction I'm facing someone, they might perceive me as a different gender. Like even days where I'm very feminine looking. If I'm in a women's room, it's happened a couple of times where if I'm like from the side and they just see my haircut, they assume that I'm a guy's in the room, and I get the "what are you doing?" question, and then I kind of turn around, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Or there's other times where I've actually been asked to leave a bathroom, and I'm just like, I just have to do what you're doing. I just have to be.
And you didn't harass anyone in the restroom?
I don't consider myself really a danger. I just have to go to the bathroom.
I had to bring that up because I was watching the Daily Show, and the statistic they gave was that if you are a black trans person, there's a 47% chance you will be incarcerated at some point. And it may not even be because you did anything, it's because of the way you look. And now being black, trans, and Jewish, I don't know if that statistic is higher.
100%. Also, like, just going to the bathroom, like, they're like, oh, the reasoning behind not having trans people in the bathroom is for safety. I'm like, I'm 4'11" and I weigh less than 110 pounds, and I've been kicked out by a grown man. For my safety, like I've been literally kicked out and escorted by security from a bathroom at a queer event because it was a safety issue. But
Do you use both bathrooms?
I do use both bathrooms because sometimes I use both bathrooms because I honestly am like, I don't know where am I supposed to go. Like I actually like stand and I'm just like looking at both of them and I'm like, get yelled at or get harassed. Like which one?
And you didn't harass anyone in the restroom?
I don't consider myself really a danger. I just have to go to the bathroom.
I had to bring that up because I was watching the Daily Show, and the statistic they gave was that if you are a black trans person, there's a 47% chance you will be incarcerated at some point. And it may not even be because you did anything, it's because of the way you look. And now being black, trans, and Jewish, I don't know if that statistic is higher.
100%. Also, like, just going to the bathroom, like, they're like, oh, the reasoning behind not having trans people in the bathroom is for safety. I'm like, I'm 4'11" and I weigh less than 110 pounds, and I've been kicked out by a grown man. For my safety, like I've been literally kicked out and escorted by security from a bathroom at a queer event because it was a safety issue. But
Do you use both bathrooms?
I do use both bathrooms because sometimes I use both bathrooms because I honestly I don't know where am I supposed to go. Like I actually stand and I'm just looking at both of them and I'm like, get yelled at or get harassed. Like which one?